best in the business, I say. Focused, fearless, committed, still in the hunt with us, right?
Yep.
You know, so, you know, if you don't believe in him, then I don't know. I mean, he sets the example every day. You know, I appreciate you, Nick. I know I said his name wrong. I appreciate you. I know you deal with Arthur, and that's hard sometimes, but I appreciate you. I'm a hard guy to deal with, but I'm loyal and focused, you know what I mean? So, you know, guys, so without further ado, I want to bring this beast up, this fearless leader of ours, CEO Nick Lancaster.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's always a good introduction by Arthur there. Appreciate it, man. Broke everything down for you, gave you some dates and some things that we're working on. We have a competition right now, don't we?
Yes.
All right, Cynthia calling me out, saying she's going to beat me. You know what? Nothing better than your downline beating you, though. I'm going to tell you that right now. It ain't going to happen. But if she did, I'll be the first one to congratulate her, and then I'll mention to, you know, she knows. She knows what's up. I mean, nothing better than some healthy competition. But hopefully, you know, you're really competing to win. I want to share something with you guys. Shut it off, dude. Oh. Shut it off.
I thought you were
then people start looking at that, and like all eyes are over here, and then I'm like talking, and everyone's looking at this. I want to talk to you guys about something, actually a few things, and I got a great agenda here. I want to talk to you about kind of where you're at right now. Like, you know, I mean, think about where you're financially at right now. How many of you guys would say you're not where you want to be? Okay. How many of us make the mistake of kind of dwelling on where we're at right now? Right? Sometimes we're like, oh man, well, this, that, it sucks, or whatever, right? And we've all been there, right? Me, myself, I've been there. I've been down that road. Don't like the way it feels. But one thing I've learned is you have to find a way to get distracted from your problems. And the way you do that is by staying busy. Right?
Yeah.
Think about it, right? Isn't they say, what's the saying about an idle mind or something like that? Like if you're, what's that? So an idle mind is the devil's playground. So you got to keep yourself busy so you stop thinking about your problems. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay? One of the great distractors in our business, there's two things. One is the competition. Like how gung-ho are you about the competition right now that you're doing right now in the office? Like, do you really want to beat the person? You should.
Yeah.
And it sounds funny. You're like, well, I like them. It's okay. You can still like them. You can still beat them too. Still like them afterwards. But competing will distract you from worrying about that you're not where you're supposed to be or that things aren't going your way. It's doing the most that you can, right? Just like in sports, the competition. It's about the competition. Imagine the Super Bowl, you know, they didn't keep score. Can you imagine? They're just, hey, go long, and they throw it. Oh, hey, all right, toss it back. All right, yeah, this is. I mean, you know, they have X amount of millions of viewers. No, there was going to be a winner that day, and there was going to be a loser. Was there not?
Yes.
So competition, right? I mean, think about right there. In that game, do you think some of the players had challenges in their personal life?
Yeah.
Think they're going through stuff?
The night before.
Right, night before, right? Not only the pressure of playing in the game, which I think Nick Foles, and you know, his name's Nick, so you know, Super Bowl MVP. But he played calm and collected, right? He was focused on the task at hand. He was confident in his ability to go out there and get results. He had gone through all the play calls. He had done all that stuff, right? Did that 4th and goal, right? It was his idea, supposedly, to do that 4th and goal touchdown, right? Where he handed it off or whatever, and then it was what a wildcat, right? It was snapped to somebody else, and he went out and caught it.
Yeah.
So he threw 3 touchdowns, caught 1 on a 4th and goal before the half, calm and collected the whole time. But think about it, all the players have stuff they're going on. But in that moment, in that game, they were competing to win the game. So no matter what you're going through right now, no matter where you're financially at, you got to start competing so it keeps you focused on what what you're gonna get good at, right? So you focused on getting to the next level. In our system manual, it says that you gotta compete and qualify for all contests and all trips. Because it keeps you focused on, the little things, right? It's like, there's a million different things that you could say, oh, I gotta work on this, or oh, I gotta focus on this. But when there's a competition, it's like, okay, hey, right now, me and you, let's go. We're competing. Now what's your focus? The competition, right? Getting the results to beat the person next to you. So that's one. The other one, so not only is competition a great distractor from problems or other things that can get you away from what you need to be doing, but selling the dream is another one. So write that down. So competition and selling the dream. So those are the two big distractors. What do I mean by selling the dream? You got to constantly be selling yourself the dream and selling the dream to your team. What am I talking about? Some of the messages that I put out earlier today about how good this business can get.
Yep.
Right? You got to focus on where you're going, not where you're at. From a business standpoint, right? Like knowing that what you are doing right now at your job, if you're part-time, right? That you could do that, what takes you a whole year to do at a job, you could do here in a month. Right?
Yes.
And so focusing on that, what's that? Oh, okay. You're gonna take your girl? Okay, go ahead. So it's all about that, right? It's about focus on where you're going, not where you're at right now. So you gotta constantly sell yourself the dream. I'm gonna show you guys some examples, right? I'm gonna go through some illustration stuff. We're gonna talk about how to build an illustration, how to sell it, right? How to do that the right way, with confidence, with conviction, your knowledge, knowing how to operate the stuff, knowing how to tear it all up. You got to know how to do these things, right? And that's the simple stuff. That's the simple things. But, when you got to believe it yourself. You got to buy into it yourself. Like what Arthur was saying, like he's saving a lot of money into his policy. So he has no problem sitting down with someone and showing them, hey, $500, $1,000, $1,800 a month, no big deal. Right? So like what I was saying in the pregame is everyone makes money. Everybody makes money out there. It's just their priorities is either going to dictate whether or not they save it or not. So here you come in there, sitting down with them and saying, hey, you need to make this a priority because where are you going to be at in 5 or 10 years if you don't? Right? So you have to have these things that you're saying with a client to get them to start thinking differently. How many times you talk to someone and they go, oh, I'm good where I'm at. Well, how good is good? And if good could be great, are you open to that? Right? But think about it. Where will you be at in 5 or 10 years if you don't save and invest money right now? Are you asking that kind of a question when you're meeting with people? Right? When I'm recruiting someone, I was talking to a lady that does real estate. She wanted to meet up for coffee, right? Like, oh, hey, let's have coffee. The whole time I'm talking to her about building a team. And the first thing I told her, she's like, oh, well, and I go, how's real estate? Well, I'm part of the number 1 real estate team in all of Temecula. I'm like, does that matter if you're not selling any houses yourself? That's great, you're part of the #1 team, right? I mean, shoot, I guess technically the guy that never comes off the bench for the Golden State Warriors did technically get a ring, but doesn't mean they're making a lot of money. But they're part of the winner. Hey, shoot, being part of the winner is not a bad thing. And people live on that. Hey, I'm part of the winning team. But I asked her, I said, hey, the first question I had, right, we went to this little, little coffee house. It's kind of like a brewery type coffee house down there. And the first words out of my mouth was, where's your real estate business? What's your real estate business look like in 5 or 10 years? She's just an agent, she's not a broker, she's not building a team. But I said, so what's your operations look like in 5 or 10 years? Like, are you still going to be selling real estate? Are you still going to like sit down with clients? Are you still going to need to meet with people? Are you still going to need to close that deal and make money? Or are you going to have something built? Because what we're talking about here is having something built. Think about it. Do you guys want to be in your 50s, 60s, still going out and having to work? Still going out and having to close a sale? No, you don't want to be in that. You don't want to be in that spot. So that's why we're building a team. But it's asking those kind of questions. So it could work for a recruiting and it could work for the client. Where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years doing what you're doing right now? So if it's a recruit, like, hey, at your job right now, where will you be at in 5 or 10 years? If it's savings, hey, based on what you're doing with your money right now, what does it look like in 5 or 10 years? And if you're not certain about that, if you're not crystal clear on where you're going, or if you know where you're going is not where you want to be at that time, then we should probably dig in a little bit deeper on exactly what we do and how we can help you. Again, both in recruiting and in running business, you guys. The bigger the team, the bigger the income, right? The bigger the team, the bigger the income. So, I want to share something with you. This is just, it's out of this book, I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube and things like that, motivational stuff. And I came across Admiral William McRaven, and he does this speech. He was a Navy SEAL, all this stuff. He does this speech, and he goes, hey, if you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. Right? And everyone, like he spoke at the University of Texas, I believe. Or was it, University of Texas. And he goes, hey, if you want to change the world, you got to start off on, you have to make your bed. And everyone's kind of starts laughing. And then he goes on to explain, like, you get that done the first thing in the morning, you feel, you've accomplished something. Even if you have the roughest day, you come back, your bed's made. You know what I mean? It's actually a simple principle, but the stories and the things. But, so he talks about team building. One of the things that he says in this book, and man, this is like a 3-day read. I mean, like seriously. So it says you can't do it alone. It says if you want to change the world, find someone to help you paddle, right? If you want to change the world, find someone to help you paddle, meaning you can't do this business by yourself. I mean, you can, but you're only going to get so far. Don't get me wrong. You can go make $250,000, $500,000 with your own pen if you really, getting after it. But then what? As soon as you slow down, that's it. But if you brought someone along with you to go do that, and now you duplicate yourself, right? How exponential can your income get? Right? So you can't do this thing alone. If you want to, if you're going to go impact a lot of people, you have to start building a team. You got to get aggressive with, team building. And so we talked earlier about this is your confidence level, right? So there's 3 things. One is the belief in what it is you do. Do you believe that we have the best opportunity and the best products out there?
Yes.
Do you believe that 100%?
Yes.
If you do, that's step 1. You have to believe that. That means if someone comes at you with some negative stuff, it doesn't go, oh, yeah, I don't know. Or, oh, where did you, and now all of a sudden you're questioning yourself. That can't happen. If people used to come to me and go, oh, I heard some negative stuff. I said, really? I said, well, is it from a credible source? Well, no, it's from online. I'm like, okay, so Aegon, who's worth $600 billion, you don't think they did their research? They have the smartest men and women in the world, attorneys and really deep pockets. You don't think that they checked all this stuff out before they actually started this whole operation? Versus someone online who's, in their underwear eating a bologna sandwich, a blogger, or whatever you call them, right? I mean, think about this, you guys. So, I remember bringing in a couple, and they came in with a whole stack of stuff, and they're like, hey, we read some stuff online, we printed it out, and they're like, explain this. And I've never once researched it, I've never once Googled it, and I've never once clicked on anything about the negative stuff that I heard, not even once. Not even just to find out like what they're seeing and now like fighting it. You know what I did? I just pushed it right back and I go, you can either believe this or you can believe me. I'm going somewhere, I don't know where all this stuff is going. I said, so this train is leaving and you're either coming with us, we're going straight to the top, or you can listen to them and you go on to living the life that you live right now, and best of luck to you. They decided to stay. They followed my vision, they followed my conviction, they went on to become SMDs. Their exchange was Alex and Didi Cardenas, and then, so on and so forth. And as a result, I got Cynthia Moore, who's SMD out of that, and et cetera, right? So that conviction, right? So your belief is part of that conviction. The other part is the knowledge, right? So you have your belief, you have your knowledge, right? I believe, you have your belief and your knowledge. Those two combined leads you to the third one, which is your confidence. Okay, so your confidence level is based on your belief, right, and your knowledge and what it is you're doing. Meaning you got to be able to back it up. You can't just be excited and be like, "Hey, this is the best thing ever," and they're like, "Well, what is it?" And you're like, "Well, I don't really know." So you got to, right? So your knowledge comes in there, and then that builds your confidence. So these things are things that are important for you to have the right mindset. Because you guys, the difference between someone making $50 grand a year and someone making $500,000 a year is just a couple little things. It's not even that much difference. It's crazy. It's not even that much difference. Like you see people that you think are doing really, really good, and they just got a couple more people doing a couple more apps. You see, base shops that got some momentum, they just got a few people doing a little bit more, right? And then it takes off. You're closer to leading a big team than you think. You really are. And I say that because I remember in the beginning just going, man, how am I gonna, man, you see these people with big teams and thousands of people, and you're like, man, I don't know, I mean, is that ever possible? But it's true, right? I shook Jeff Levitan's hand when I was brand new in the business, and he was at $500,000 a year. I was brand new in the business at $500,000. And at that time I was 26, and I was making like $50,000 a year at ADT. I was still part-time, right? That was, July of 04? July of 04?
05.
05? I was already SMB then? I think it was 04. 04, 05. Whatever it was. Many moons ago, right? And now you fast forward, so a guy who was making $500,000, which sold me the vision and the dream, like, shoot, what? $500,000? Okay, this is for real. But now to look, fast forward and now him to be at $5 million, whose income jumps like that? In what industry can your income jump that much? And now he works probably less in his business and more on his business than ever before. He has more free time than probably what he had back then. So you understand that right, there was a diagram, and if you want to just look this way just real quick. Remember someone showing me this. It's like in the beginning. Can you guys see this or no?
No.
Let's see if this one works. You guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay, a little bit better, right? Let me get some better markers here. Okay, so in the beginning, it's a lot of, so like this is the work, right? And this is the pay. This is like your first, maybe, I don't know, depending, this could be maybe your first 6 to maybe 12 months. A lot of work, a little bit of pay. But as you go, now, you fast forward here, this could be year 5 or 10 or whatever it is, depending on how much results you get. But this could be the work, and then this would be the pay. Think about it. Someone making $150,000 a month, do you think they're really doing, in WFG, think about this. Someone making $150,000 a month in WFG is doing less work day to day, right? Less day-to-day work than when they were making $50,000 a year. Like part-time in the business or transitioning to full-time. So they were doing all this work to make $50,000, and then now they do very little work and they're making $150,000 a month.
Most of it's over.
That's the business that you're in. You realize that, right? That's the freaking business that you're in. Like there's no, it will continue to grow if you put in the reps. It will continue to grow. So we're going to talk about some things. Let's talk about the IUL. Okay, let's talk about the IUL, which is our flagship product, right? What's IUL stand for?
Index Universal Life.
Index Universal Life. What's the index part? What is that?
Has a floor and a cap.
So is it in the market?
No.
It's a mirror.
It
No,
mirrors the
it
market.
mirrors the market, right? So it's not an actual investment, is it?
No.
Okay, so be careful when you say investment, right? It's a savings vehicle, okay? You don't want to say investment. It's not in the stock, it's not in the stock market, and it's not invested in the indexes, okay? It mirrors, so I like what Eddie said, it mirrors the indexes. So we use a global, right? Most of us are doing the global. So the global index consists of what indexes?
S&P 500.
S&P 500, right? Is everyone familiar with that?
Yes.
What's S&P stand for?
Standard & Poor's 500.
Standard & Poor's 500. What's probably the easiest way to explain it?
Top 500 companies.
Top
in the US
500
market.
companies in the U.S.
Yep.
Right? So it's a U.S. index, the most popular one.
Yeah.
Most people are familiar with that if they, do any kind of investing or if they read anything, the newspaper. I mean anything is gonna. It's a topic when it comes to the money world, right? So you have S&P. What are the other two indexes?
Euro stocks.
The Euro Stocks 50. So what's the best way to explain that one?
Top 50 companies.
Top 50 companies in Europe, right? So that's like the European, that's the top index in the, right, for Europe. And then you have what?
Hang Seng.
The Hang Seng, which is what? Is that an Asian index? Asia, so you got China, Hong Kong, all that falls into that market. And that's 200 companies, just so you know. So the Hang Seng is like the Asian 200 is what I call it. So just write Asian 200. This is just, you know, because you want to keep it simple, you guys, right? I'm a simple person. I don't like to complicate stuff because the more complicated you are, the less duplicatable you are. And if you guys have been on appointments with me, you're like, what? That's all you do?
Yep.
Right? Arthur sends me to the, you know, has me sit down with this big business owner. This guy wants to do investments. And I sit down, I do the KTP, we write business. He's like, what the hell? Afterward, what the heck? Man, I thought, I'm like, what? He goes, I could have done that. I'm like, yeah, you could have, and I told you you could have. But you took me, and you saw me do it over again, and now he knows that he's just got to be confident what it is he's doing no matter who you're sitting with. I don't care if I'm sitting down with a multi-millionaire. It's the same presentation. The language might be a little different. I might say a little bit more sophisticated terminology, or I might dumb it down depending on who I'm sitting with. I'm sitting down with a blue collar, I'm sitting down with a white collar, I'm sitting down with a corporate executive. The body language, the terminology, the way that I build the concept, build the ideas, and be a little bit different. But it's pretty much all the same stuff. Right? I mean, you know, I said this earlier, but it's easier to get someone that makes big money to save into products like this, and it's harder for the one that's like skeptical, doesn't make a lot of money, can only do $100. Those are the ones that like $100 is like another bill, and it's like hard. Like those are the worst clients, you guys. Getting people to save money that aren't used to saving money is the biggest challenge that you'll have in the business. Right? But you sit down with someone who's already saving money, and now you're just showing them a better way of doing it. It's like a warm night through butter, right? Think about it. Right, Eddie? Think about it. Dude, this dude just wrote 13 apps and made almost 30 grand in 1 week. And I guarantee you they save money,
Yeah.
they make good
Front
money.
loading people that
They're
get the
front
value.
loading it, they have money saved,
Yeah.
and they're just going, right? And then, so like think about it. You got some of the 100 grand is sitting in their checking account, and you're going, how much money are you earning on, or how much interest are you earning on that account? They're like, I don't know. They're like nothing. And you're like, well, hey, let me show you 25-year track record of 9.05%. Wait, what? So let me show you, like your money will take like 150 years to double, and mine is gonna take you about 7-8 years. You know, not saying you gotta take all, you know, you gotta have liquid, you have some savings, some cash in hand, but let's make your money work for you, right? I mean, right? Especially you're sitting down with someone with 45 or whatever, like, hey, you've been working for over 20 years, you've been working hard for your money. Why don't we get your money working hard for you? Oh, write that down. Write that down. Hey, you've been working hard for your money, haven't you? How many years you been working? Man, like 25 years. You've been working hard for your money this whole time. Isn't it time that you have your money start working hard for you? Boom! They're like, yeah. Then let's get that going. Right? So let me show you. So now, what we're gonna do, pull this up here.
That's what I'm talking about.
So I'm gonna log into Transamerica, okay? Oh, I have to do it through here, right?
Yep.
Okay. All of you that are licensed and appointed, you know how to log into Transamerica and get to the Transware?
Yep.
Okay. So here, hold on, let me pull this up real quick. Okay, so you're gonna log in, right? You're gonna log in, you're gonna see this here. You can track all your clients through here. All your pending policies, everything's on here, right? If you go down here and where it says My Links, and I think it's the second one down, So
Yes.
my transfer illustration, you're gonna click on that. You're gonna launch my transfer, and that's the illustration software. Okay? You have IUL, if your securities, VUL will pop up, and then the term. And we do everything, right? You sit down with someone and go, well, why do you guys do this? Or, hey, can you guys offer term? Absolutely, we do term too. And by the way, we'll do a better term. We'll do a better term because we can usually get them more coverage for cheaper than what they have, even if they've had it for 10 years. That's how good Transamerica is. They're very competitive. Like, they compete with the infomercials, at 3 o'clock in the morning. They compete with those companies, right? They get $500,000 for, $30 a month for a 40-year-old male or whatever. And Transamerica competes with those prices. So, if someone wants to have hey, well, we do term, I said, all right, well, let's have a term war then. Let's battle it out. Who has a better term? Because let me tell you something. Before we get into IUL, which is the big ticket, is that with with term, the reason why someone gets term is because it's mainly because of price, right? It's affordability. So well, wait a minute. So then, if you have term because you want to get the best price, if I can show you how to get more coverage for longer, or same coverage for longer, for a cheaper price, then obviously you'd switch with me, right? You'd switch over to mine. Well, yeah, I guess so. Great. Now you run the numbers, you give them a better price, and it's a done deal. So if you don't want to have the whole term versus IUL battle with someone, you get someone who's all Dave Ramsey'd out and Susie Orman, like fanatics, right? You have these people that live and die by Dave Ramsey, that's like buy term, invest the difference. If you have someone that is going that route, then compare terms. Okay, hey, who's your term with? Oh, great. Well, let's see if we can beat it. Because if you got term for the cheaper price, then if I get you a cheaper price for more coverage or same, and extend your term, you'd obviously we'll switch you out, right? Yeah, absolutely. Great. Let me show you my term rates, and then now once I beat you, hey, you got your driver's license. Let's get this done. Right? But if we're going to talk about payout and why someone really gets life insurance, right, or how someone can benefit from IUL, then now we're talking about doing a permanent policy. Because guess how many policies pay out on permanent? All of them. All of them. You know why? Because nobody lives forever.
That's right.
Right? What are those science fiction movies? A vampire lives forever or whatever it is? I don't think those really exist. I don't think they're real. I don't know. I heard saw some movie where there's real vampires in Alaska. I don't know.
Well,
Because there's only sun for so much of the year. Anyway.
40 days.
Whoosh.
40 days.
Yeah, what's it called?
40 days of night.
40 days a night or whatever. It's like a zombie. It's like a vampire movie. Yeah, it's like the vampire.
It's a documentary, bro.
You scared me in Pennsylvania, dude. Okay, no, but think about it.
Nightmares tonight.
It's gonna pay out. So permanent pays out 100% of the time. 100%. Right? You talk about the rich getting richer, the poor getting poorer. Passing on wealth from one generation to the next is done through life insurance. Even wealthy people. The wealthy people that make good money, they still buy life insurance. Well, I don't need life insurance. I have millions of dollars. Well, great, but why subject that to probate? Why do this? Why do that? Why don't you, for a very small amount of cost of insurance, go get a big old policy, and now you can put in 50 grand, but it pays out $2 million to your family. Would that be a good investment? If you know you're going to die anyways, would you pay out 50 grand knowing your family's going to get 2 million?
Yeah.
You know that's how an IUL works? You end up paying out about 50 grand. I mean, just say the cost of insurance is about 50 grand, and by that time, you got $1 million. Is that a good investment for your family?
Yes.
Hell yeah. Versus, I'll just give them the 50 grand. No, I'd rather put the 50 grand towards insurance and give them $1 million. So again, where's your belief? Where's your knowledge? Where's your confidence? Right? Where are those three things at? Because, with those things, this is a no-brainer, right? So, IUL. So again, it's going to pay out 100% of the time. How much does term pay out? What's the percentage?
97% of it does not.
So only 3% pays out of term. 3%. So 100% of all IULs will pay. 100% of all permanent policies pay out. 3% of term policies pay out. Write that down. 3% of term policies actually pay a death claim. You know why? Want to know why?
Because people outlive their term.
Exactly, because look, they're betting, the insurance company's betting that you're gonna not die within that 20 years, and you're paying a premium betting that you are. You're not really betting you're gonna die, but it's that peace of mind going, hey, if something happens to me, but think about it. If you outlive the policy, do they give you your premiums back? No. And then do you still have coverage? No. Right? So Reggie, what was it, last week, broke down the Primerica policy and says coverage to age 95. But after the 21 years, right, after the 20 year, it jumped from $500 annual to $5,000 annual or whatever it was, something outrageous. Because it's renewable, but it's renewable at a lot higher rate. So 97% of the time it doesn't pay out. So it's the most profitable form of insurance for an insurance company, term is. Because they know 97% of the time they're never going to pay a death claim. Think about it. Millions of people pay term policies every single month, but not everybody dies at once for them to pay it all out. Think about it. Everyone, billions of dollars are being paid in premiums every month. And then someone dies, they're easily cut a check for $500,000. They collect billions and they write a check for $500,000 here and there when someone passes. Not everyone dies all at once. So that's why insurance is the most profitable industry in the world. Most profitable is life insurance. So think about it, you're building a life insurance-based business. Think about that. And let's not even talk about bonuses. When you, every policy that gets written in all 50 states and US and Canada, every policy that gets written, a percentage of the commission goes into a bonus pool. And now when you perform, you get a percentage of that pool. So you're actually making money off policies that were written on someone that's not even on your team. Think about that for a second.
At S&P level.
At S&P and above, you gotta be S&P and above. They're only gonna pay that out to the ones that got to S&P. Well, you need 10 licensed agents, you make 50 grand, you gotta have some people come in. You gotta have a business built. So, but think about that. So the bigger the bonus pool, you can be doing the same production, but if the bonus pool doubles, what happens to your bonus?
Doubles.
So imagine your bonus is $5 grand in a month, right? Like some months my bonus pays my mortgage, right? Kind of cool. Or even, and then some, right? I mean, there's guys in the company that bonus is a 6-figure bonus in a month, right? But think about it. So same production, let's say the company doubles their production next 2-3 years. So we're doing 30 million or whatever a month. And then that goes to 60 million in a month, right? We're at 60,000 licensed agents right now as a company, and that number's growing like every day. Well, what happens when that doubles? Now bonus goes from, let's say 100 grand bonus goes to 200 grand in a month. You know what I mean? So your production, you have same production, but your bonus is gonna double in size. So it's just game on, you guys. So let's talk about this. So let's go through this IUL. So you're gonna pull out, you're gonna do this here. We're gonna go 20. It's a 2015 here. If I hit yes or no, I'll always forget.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys an example real quick. I wanna give you an example. You have a client who's 35 years old, right? 35-year-old client, male, makes 100 grand a year. You got a $500 commitment. Makes 100 grand a year, you got a $500 commitment. You're gonna start to build this policy, okay? So that's what we're working with, okay? You guys with me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna go Scott. Yeah, I was gonna do Scott. I was gonna do Scooter, but
It's like Joe.
Skippy.
Scooter, Skippy.
Sounds like the guy. Sounds like the guy that doesn't get accepted.
Okay. Skippy doesn't get accepted. Okay, so Scott is a male, preferred. So if they're in good health, where are you rating them?
Preferred.
Preferred, right? So you wanna under promise, over deliver, right? So if he comes back better health, that's even better, right? As far as the cost of insurance.
Yeah.
Okay. So you do it in preferred. You're gonna come down. You guys get that, right? That's pretty simple, right?
Yes.
So you're gonna go to solve. He's got $500 to work with. We're gonna do CVAT increasing. This is cash, so this guy's gonna overfund. He's making a 6-figure income. It's increasing death benefit. What does increasing death benefit mean?
They get the death benefit plus the cash value.
Cash value.
Okay, that means whatever cash is inside the account, that gets added to the life insurance death benefit, right? So if they got a $500,000 policy, and they got $500,000 in cash, and that person passes away, right, primary insured passes, the beneficiary gets how much money? The full million, right? The $500,000 of coverage plus $500,000 of cash. You guys all know that, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So that's increasing. Why do I stress that? Because you know you sit down with someone who has like whole life, that like a prudential policy, look at the policy. So typically on these, so this says increasing, right? If you look at someone's policy, this is usually option B or option 2.
Yep.
Okay, so increasing is usually like on like whole life policies or other ULs and stuff, it'll say option A or B or option 1 or 2. Option 2 or option B is always increasing, but a lot of policies, especially some of the older ones, were sold option A or option 1, which is level. Level means that whatever cash they have inside doesn't go to the beneficiary when they pass. They keep the cash. So think of the leverage you have with the client. You're sitting down with the client and you're looking at it and you're going, well, let's just make sure, and you're talking about, so you're selling IUL, right? Our 2-page presentation, and you're going through IUL, and like, hey, the rich get rich and the poor get poor. This is how wealthy people pass on wealth from one generation to the next, right? Whatever cash inside gets added to your death benefit, both as a wealth transfer, no taxes, no probate, no judges, no gavels, nothing, just tax-free wealth transfer, boom, right? And they go, well, I think I have something like this. Well, let's look at your policy. And you go in there and you see a level 1, or you see an option 1 or an option A, and you say, hey, let's look at your policy. If it shows those options, then that means, so whatever cash they have inside is not gonna get passed on. Right? I was at an appointment with Angelica. It was actually a Spanish-speaking appointment. Business owner, we end up recruiting them and stuff. And I brought her just for kind of reinforcement, right? I'm like, hey, come on, I think you'll connect, all this stuff, right? So she sits down. We pull up the policy, and sure enough, option 1. So she literally gets him on the phone, puts on speakerphone, puts on mute, on speakerphone, and she's sitting there and she's going through it, and she's going, okay, so it shows here that the client has $30,000 in cash value, and the policy's for $300,000. How much would the beneficiary get? And they say right over the phone, they go, well, the beneficiary would only receive the $300,000. And so Angelica basically got them to, and she goes, so right in front of the client too. So what happens to the $30,000? Like, do you guys keep the 30? Yeah, we actually keep it. I literally say that in front of the client. Now the client's going, wait, do I have the right thing? And we're like, well, in ours, right? In ours, we do ours like this. So now it's a real easy, like, well, which do you want? Do you want to build cash for the insurance companies to keep that you can use while you're alive, but if you pass, it's not gonna, it doesn't go with them.
Did you 1030?
Yeah. So we 1035 exchange. So you guys know what 1035 exchange is, right?
Yep.
You guys, if anyone's familiar with real estate, it's a 1031. A 1031 exchange where you transfer equity from one property to the next. Well, in life insurance, same thing. Whatever cash is inside, you can now transfer to IUL. So think about this, right? Make a note right now. Who do I know that has permanent coverage outside of an IUL? Who do I know that has a whole life? Start asking people, hey, who's your life insurance with? Start asking questions, right? Because guess what? Guess what asking questions does? It gets responses. Think about it. Think about it. If I ask you right now, hey, dude, what size shoe are you? Are you gonna just go, if that's none of your business? You're probably just gonna tell me. You're probably just gonna shoot out a number. Right? What's your middle name? Hey, what's your favorite color? People just start spitting out stuff. If you want information, you need to ask the right questions. So start thinking about it. Because you know what most people are gonna tell you if you ask them, hey, who's your insurance with? What are they gonna tell you?
There's only 2.
Their job. Their job. Most people Their idea of, oh, I have life insurance is through their job. But guess what? If they lose their job, if they get fired, or if they quit, how much insurance do they have?
None.
None. If they get fired, they lose their job, they quit, they retire, whatever, their insurance stops. So write this down. As an advisor, we recommend our clients to have insurance outside of their employer. Write that down. So as an advisor, we recommend our clients to have insurance outside of their employment for that reason, right? Because if you lose your job, you get fired, you quit, or retire, the insurance does not carry on. Have you ever switched jobs? Yeah. Well, what did you have to do with your insurance? Oh, I had to requalify, I had to get back on a new group plan. Usually most work insurance is under insurance anyways. That's 50 to 100 grand max. It's 3 times their annual salary, I've heard some. I'm like, well, how much do you make? They're like, I make 60 grand a year. They go, so you're covered for 180? I go, what do you owe on the house? We owe 450. Well, what's that gonna do? You're not even paying off the house? They didn't have enough insurance to pay off your house, let alone expenses, let alone income replacement, let alone college or debts or cars you still gotta pay off, right? I mean, think about that. You got a dual income household, husband and wife both working. That means they're both dependent upon each other's income. If one passes, financial disaster. That's why you gotta have enough coverage. So we always recommend insurance outside of work. So this is why permanent and making sure we're doing the right thing for clients is such a big deal. So we're gonna keep it on. So we got this increasing, right? We got target premium. So the guy's what we said 35, and he can do 500 bucks, right?
Yes.
So what we're gonna do before we even show the client, we're gonna build it first. Then we're gonna present the illustration to the client. Does this make sense? You have to build it first and then present it to the client. Okay? You're not showing them all this stuff when you're first, running this illustration. You're running it, you're getting everything dialed in. And you gotta get familiar with this stuff so you know how to do it. And you can do it quick. You can be sitting there fumbling and going, oh, like I can be building rapport and then still putting this stuff in. This is like first appointment, like I'm showing an illustration first appointment. If I'm going back, I already got the numbers already done and ready to go. But if I'm doing a first sit and they go, shoot, and I ask them, hey, is what you're doing, do you feel based on what I've gone over, right? And you guys have seen me close on this, and you guys have see me do appointments. I go, hey, based on what I've covered with you tonight, the 2-page presentation, do you still feel that what you have right now is the best thing for you? And what do they say? What do they say when I took it on appointments? What do they say?
No.
Nope.
They say no. They say no. Why? Because they have a 401k, they have an IRA, they have term or whatever it is, and then we show them IUL, and I go, well, okay. Well, so then, let me run numbers for you on an IUL and show you what this can do. Now I'm gonna sit there, and as I'm building a rapport, I'm gonna run this stuff. I already know his income because I asked him what he does. I've already got $1 coming in at this point, all these things, right? So we're working with a 35-year-old guy. He makes 100 grand a year, and he can do 500 bucks a month. Is that pretty accurate?
Yep.
Someone makes 100 grand, they could do about 500 bucks. You could maybe do more, but realistically, that's what I would feel comfortable with someone doing 500 if they make 100 grand a year. You know what I mean? Anything more than that, it's kind of it could be a stretch. I mean, it depends on how they live.
10%
If they live, if they live way below their means, then maybe he could do more. But generally, a 6-figure income is about 500. So that means someone making 50 grand should be about 250 a month. So just write those numbers down so you just kind of have a general idea. Like you got to know your range. You got to know your stuff, right? I mean, you don't want to. You're not trying to put a square into a
Circle.
what's it called? A circle into a square peg
into
or
a
whatever.
round hole.
Yeah, or a square, whatever. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Square peg.
Okay.
round hole.
So 100 grand, 500 a month, 50 grand a year, 250 a month. Okay?
Yep.
25 grand a year, 100 bucks a month. You know what I mean? So use common sense with this stuff, you guys, right? Remember, the business that pays is the business that what?
Stays.
A client has to keep their IUL for 13 months, otherwise you run the risk of chargeback, right? Okay. So, guy makes 100 grand. We're at 500 bucks a month. Okay. Let's not even get into well, okay. We're gonna do this whole Everest and LB and all this stuff, okay? But let's just look at this one right here. Let's just look at IUL for now. Okay, let's look at IUL. This guy wants to save some money. Well, I wanna show this guy how to become financially independent, all this stuff, okay? So, based on what you guys know about running illustrations, or based on your, depending on how much experience you have running illustrations, what would be a good number that we should at least look at first? What would you say? 350?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's look at 350,000. Now, is that underinsured?
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
I think it's a little underinsured.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
go half. I
I'm
would say,
saying,
Do at
I'm
least
thinking a
half.
half.
I say $500,000, dude.
Looking at 4.
Cause he's
I'm
35.
saying a $500,000.
He's 35.
He's making 100 grand.
Target's gonna be like,
380.
So a $500,000 should be minimum. We'll probably look at a term too, but let's look and see what this looks like, okay?
325 target, $1 boss.
360.
Okay, so come to premium, right? All right, so all this stuff is already pre-populated. You guys don't have to go through. So you just put the face amount, you click on specify, premium specifications. If he's lump summing, we're gonna do that, and I'm gonna recommend him a lump sum, right? Because the more they start with early, the more it's gonna grow down the road, right?
Yeah.
Someone puts in $5,000, $10,000 in up front versus someone just doing the $500 a month, big difference, right? Big difference, okay? It's like a pebble on the top of a snow-capped mountain versus a boulder. It's gonna really, right, create some real momentum going down that hill, okay?
Say that again.
What's that?
Pebble on snow.
Yeah, it's like a pebble on the top of a snow-capped mountain versus a boulder. You know what I mean? So like your monthly is the pebble, the boulder is the lump sum. Think about it, right? And I like showing the difference. So I'll do it without, and then if I know they have some extra income, like when I go through now, hey, where their money's at, taxable, or tax now, later, and never, and I see they have 20 grand in their checking account or a mutual fund or something like that, and I know that maybe they can, what 5 grand could do, I'll run the numbers and I'll show it. I'll go back and go, hey, I know you got 20 grand right there, and I know, obviously you don't want to put all that into this long term because this is long term, but if we took 5 grand, let me show you how much more money you have at age 55, 65. So, and I'll show you guys how to do it too. Because I'll show 5 grand turning into 50 grand. And they're like, wait, so that 5 grand that was just gonna sit there earning 0 will be 50 grand down the road? Which is just gonna be I was just gonna keep it as a cushion anyways. Cool. Now, the more they put in up front too, they also have access sooner to their money too. Okay, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. When they do the monthly minimum, how many years does it take before they can actually start pulling from it? 4 or 5 years sometimes, right? Okay. And when you get smaller targets, it's even longer. The bigger target ones build cash value quicker.
It's a bigger one.
The ones with bigger targets build cash value quicker. You're like, well, wait, bigger cost of insurance. No, it's more cash accumulation. Because out of a $500 target, only $200 of that is really cost of insurance. The other $300 is just savings anyways. $500 target is only $200 of insurance cost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that means $300 is growing in that thing every single month. Okay, so we'll leave that at 0. We're gonna go to premium mode monthly. You guys all with me still, right?
Yes.
Okay. I know I'm bouncing around. Okay, so we did increasing, we did $500,000, we did monthly. Okay, we want to put long-term care on here?
No.
No? Why not?
Because not everybody's got a health license.
Okay. Let's assume that everyone does have a health license, okay? If you don't have it, get it. I have a health license, so I'm gonna put the long-term care on it, okay? I'd rather them have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Alright.
That make sense?
Yeah.
Your life and health or life only?
Yeah, no, I can help.
So do it every single time, dude.
Yeah.
Do
I
you
did
or
on
no?
the last few.
Okay. Do it every single time. Think about it.
375.
What if they needed it and they're like, well, hey, am I able to? No, sorry. And then you got to tell them, no, sorry, I didn't add that feature. Well, was it available to me? Yeah,
But I wasn't
No.
health licensed.
but I wasn't health licensed to do it. Ouch, right? Just saying, get it done. Okay, so long-term care, yes. How much does it change? Someone's in good health, not very much at all. It's like literally a couple bucks extra a month.
Yeah.
It's very
Well
nice.
worth it. Well worth it, okay? Well worth it if they need it. Well worth it. Okay. So now we're going to come down to the bottom where it says reports. You're going to hit summary.
325. 325 target.
366. How close were you? What'd you say? Wait, what'd you say?
Cheated, you did it.
Oh, what'd you say? 325. What'd you say? 375? 360? 360. Okay.
Check his phone.
So if you were looking at one product, right? If you're looking at this, and he was gonna do $500, how do you feel about this right here? 366 target, sending 500. Feel pretty good about that, huh?
Yeah.
I think that's probably where you want to be. So now, worst case scenario, if he's like, I can't, in 3 months, he's like, I can't do 500. Well, you can go down, right, to 366. He can even go down, right, required premium, right, which is like the minimum. You never go off minimum, always go off a target. But technically, he can go down to 3,300 for the year. If you divide that by 12, how much is that? Under 300 a month. Okay, so worst case scenario. So now, we're not going to look at this though. So again, we're building this for the client. So am I going to turn and show the client this?
No.
Hey, look. No. They do 500. I never show the 366. I'm going to manually input the 500 and tier it up. So let's go back. So close this out. So again, remember, you're building this. Right here where it says policy design, where it says solve, you're going to come up to the top and we'll specify all. Okay? This gives you the flexibility now. Instead of running it at target, you're able to go in there and enter the monthly stuff. Okay? So now we're going to build this thing. We're going to tier it up. So you do 500, year 1 of 1. You're going to go to add. You're going to go 600. Right? You guys all do this, right?
Yeah.
If
Yes.
you don't know this, then now you know.
You need to go on more appointments.
Yeah.
Okay, so check this out. Year 3 of 3, 8, year 4 of 4. And then in the 5th year, I'm going to go 1,000.
Okay, he's in WFG, right? By that point. Hopefully, I appreciate it.
Now he's 35. Let's just go 30 years. So let's go to say 65.
How old was he, Nick?
35.
35.
35 years old, male. So we started at 500. We went up to 1,000 in the 5th year, and do 1,000 a month for year 5 through year 30. Okay. Now, is he committed on a contract to do this? What I just put out there?
No.
No. Again, he can still do the 260 a month, 270 a month, or whatever that minimum is, every single month for the rest of his life if he really wants to. But we're talking about building a case for him to show him how he could be, right, retire tax-free and have a good lump sum, right, have a good chunk of cash at the end. All right, so now let's break this down. So now, what's it say monthly modal premium? What's it say now?
500.
500. Okay. Now again, you just take a quick peek. You go in here and you peek at this thing, and you go, okay, 65, 300 grand in, 831. Okay, cool. I can work with this. I can sell this. Right? I can sell this now. Right? So check this out. So I'm going to go through, and I'm going to just take this with me for a minute. All right. So let's say I'm selling this to Eddie, right? So I'm going to age you like 10 years, bro.
That's fine, dude. I'm sold.
So, you said you could do $500 a month comfortably,
Yep.
right? You make a 6-figure income. I think that's easily, you should be able to do that. And then we're gonna, as you save money, as you get used to putting into this thing, again, it's long-term, like I said, as you get used to putting into it, I'm gonna recommend that you increase your monthly contribution each year. So what I did was I tiered it up from $500 a month in year 1 to
Okay.
600 to 700 to 800, and then in year 5 you're doing $1,000 a month.
Okay.
Now, don't stress out about that. You don't have to increase it, but if you did, this is what it's going to look like. So this is what is where I want to get you to. Okay. So now, if we we're going to fast forward here, and we went 30 years down the road to age 65, and then I have you stop contributing altogether. Okay. Your total contribution was over $300,000. So it takes some discipline to do that, right?
Yeah.
So again, anything worthwhile is going to take some discipline. So this is a long-term discipline savings. See how I'm wording this stuff, you guys? You gotta get them to realize that this is a long-term commitment, but think about it, if they do, this is what this is the reward. For them staying focused, staying disciplined, right? This 300 grand now is gonna grow to 831,000. So that's a $500,000 gain. And by the way, that 831 is what?
Tax-free.
Tax-free. Tax-free. So what is 831 tax-free? What would that be equivalent to in, let's say, a 401k?
Almost 2 million.
1.2, 1.3 based on today's tax dollars. Inflation, everything else. Let's just call it 1.3. So how many people do you know 65 years old, they have $1.3 million in their 401k or that IRA? Nobody, right? Nobody. And along the way, you have money in there. Along the way, you have access. You know, you want to pull money out. Shoot, you have to wait in a 401k. You got to wait till 59 and a half. But let's look at it here. You know, shoot, at age 50, you got 212 grand in there. If you got to pull out, if you want to pay off a car, or you want to go on a vacation or whatever, you can pull that money out tax free with no penalty, no surrender charge or anything like that, right? So flexibility. And by the way, if anything, God forbid anything was to happen to you, the 212 gets added to the $500,000. So not only does your family get the $500,000 of life insurance, but also the 212 grand that you saved and invested, they get the full 712. That's at age 50. We come down, let's go back to age 65. You're at $1.5 million in death benefit. And then again, remember I was showing you that you stopped putting in? Let's fast forward 5 years down the road. Let's say you didn't need this money. 5 years down the road, you didn't put a penny more in. Now you got 1.1, almost $1.2 million. So it grew another almost $500,000 there, just on interest alone in 5 years.
What was the interest rate?
This is showing you at 7.75. So just to give you an idea, this global index account, we can only show you 7.75, but for the last 25 years, it's averaging 9.05. And what's happened in the last 25 years, by the way?
Recession.
2001, the market crash, right? 9/11, all that stuff, right? And then 2008, right? The mortgage, right? The real estate bubble and all that stuff, right? The big crash in 2008. So through 2 market crashes, it's still averaging 9, but we're only showing you 7. So this is pretty conservatively realistic. It could probably do better, but it probably won't do any worse. Won't do worse than this, but more likely it will do better.
Imagine 1% in 30 years.
Isn't that cool?
Jesus.
2017 did by 22%.
Think about that, you guys. Think about that for a second. So that's how you have to talk. You have to start talking like this. Go, hey, look, this is conservatively realistic. It won't do any worse than this, but it'll probably do a lot better. It'll probably do better, but it won't do any worse. So what I'm showing you is about what you're going to get. Chances are you'll probably even get better. That's pretty cool to be able to confidently say that and have the numbers, the facts, and the figures to back it up.
At that point, what do you do now, right? So yeah, cool. So
Right?
great.
So I say, hey, so as good as this looks, right? And by the way, how would you feel about having 800 grand tax-free at 65?
Amazing.
Only starting with $500 a month. Well, here's the deal, man. Not everyone qualifies for this. We have to get you qualified. Okay? You have your driver's license with you?
Yep.
Okay, let's get it started. Boom. So again, my belief and conviction that he needs it, that he can benefit, it's been sold properly. By the way, I will explain, before I get into that, I will show him, right? I will show him, this is your policy value, and this is what you have access to. So in the beginning, they do limit the access that you have because it's a long-term account, okay? So what I mean by that, Eddie, is that, let's say in the first 6 months, you're putting in $500 a month, you're not gonna be able to call me and say, hey, I need some of that money. Okay, this is long-term. So even in the first year where you got $4,100 in there, you're not gonna have access to any of it. Okay, so you understand that, right?
Yep.
Okay, boom. Once I get that verbal right there, no one can come back on you in 6 months and go, you never told me that. You know what, I did. Yeah, I did. I explained it. I explained it. Have an initial, yeah, have an initial right there. Do a little line with an X and circle it, highlight it, right? But think about that, right? I'm also gonna show this, look, so, and we haven't even, so even in year 5, we haven't even reached the 7-pay max, which is 16 grand. So you still have access, even doing 1,000 a month, you still have breathing room to put another 4 grand in a year. And then after 7 years, you put in almost as much as you want. So where does this come into play? Because right here, you put in 6 grand, you still have another 10 grand of breathing when you put more money in. So, if you get a raise at work, if you get, if you're expecting a good, a good tax return, what do most people do with their tax returns?
Blow it.
Spend
They
it.
go put a down payment on a new car. Every single time, right? Like half the time people buy a new car, like right around that time. The biggest, like car salesmen, the best time of the year for them is spring, when everyone's getting their tax returns, because everyone's like, oh, this old clunker, right? Or, it could be a 1 or 2 year old car, but it's like, hey, I got 4 or 5 grand.
Burns a hole in their
And,
pocket.
yeah, it's like, people just, as soon as they get money, they wanna spend it, so they go buy a new car.
Inheritance.
But what if they, inheritances or whatever. My point is like, I tell them, hey, are you expecting a tax return? Matter of fact, on our worksheet, it says what was last year's tax return.
Yeah.
Yep.
On there. Don't just have that and don't utilize it. Hey, your last year's tax return was 5 grand. What are you expecting this year? Well, probably about the same. I made about the same amount of money. Great. Well, do you still have that 5 grand from last year? No, I paid off some debt, blah, blah. Hey, not saying to take all of it, but take half of it and dump it in here. So if you got 5 grand on a tax return last year, let's take $2,500 and put it into this thing. Plus you got some other savings. So let me show you this really quick. Let's close this out. Watch this. So it was 831 and 865, right? Let's go to lump sum. And let's just put in,
6 grand.
let's put in the 10. Let's put in the 10 grand.
Yeah, man.
Let's put in the 10 grand. He's got some money saved, he's making 6 figures, he hasn't been saving it. He's been saving it, he hasn't been investing it or whatever, doesn't have to do with his money. So we put 10 grand, that still meets the requirement, right,
Yep.
up to 16.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna go, and now let's look at the 831 and see what it comes out at with the 10 grand in up
It's like
front.
rule 72, right? And that's kind of what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just over time. Yeah, the 10 grand experiment.
So it grew now to 896. So the 10, so it was 31, it was 831, now it's 896, right?
Yeah.
You guys are seeing this the same way I'm seeing it, right? The same age, 896, so a year before, so a year earlier is there. So the same age 65, it's 896, so what's the difference there? 65 grand? So your 10 grand, excuse me. Thank you. The 10 grand grew another 65, so your 10 grand grew an additional 55 grand.
Dang.
Which over a 30-year period in a checking account or a savings account, how much is 10 grand gonna grow to?
You owe them.
Even, yeah, just in bank fees, you probably owe them. Yeah, technically you've been paying on that. So even at 10 grand for, so 1% over 30 years, so 1% takes 72 years to double. So at 30 years, your 10 grand would be what, maybe less than 5 grand? Growth, so it'd be less than 15, but this grew to 65,000. Right?
Yep.
By the way, now let's look at this. That 10 grand went in, how much access do they have?
That's right.
Oh, immediate access, huh?
Oh, the first year I got, so now I got 13 grand in there, got access to 2,500, the next year I got access to 8 grand, right, just earlier access. And then now more compounding growth. You guys with me?
Yes.
So part of why I went through this was to show you that just because you got a $500 commitment doesn't mean you run a $500 target, right? Because that'd be 6,000. You got to overfund, right? You get $500, you should probably be looking somewhere between $350 to $400 target. You want them overfunding it so if they ever have to go back, they can, but they're also building more cash inside, right? Now, what do we get paid off of? And I'll end with this. What do we get paid off of?
Target.
Target premium. So even if they're overfunding it, we only get paid on the target.
I have a really quick question.
Yeah.
So what if your client, when he's 39, at the
Yeah.
age of 39,
Okay.
gets laid off, no income, can the policy be pay itself?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So now, great question. So 39 years old, this guy gets laid off.
Right.
First of all, question always comes up. Well, are they gonna not ever go back to work? Because it has a 90-day grace period, right, before they lose their insurance coverage, if they had zero cash inside of it, okay?
Okay.
It'll go into a grace period for 90 days, assuming they had zero. But because they have cash inside, yes. So whatever the cost, so like let's say for example, the cost of insurance on a 366 target, let's say is 166 a month is the actual insurance. So he's paying 500, 166 going towards insurance, the other difference is going towards cash. That's how this number is growing, right? Now the guy gets laid off, he's not working, they'll pull the 166 a month from the cash value.
Okay.
I had a guy that paid on a policy, he's my client for almost over 10 years, almost 10 years. He paid for like 2.5 years of premium. It was a VUL, it was a variable policy, so it grew on the market and stuff like that. But he paid for 2.5 years. It just barely and he stopped paying it. It barely lapsed like last month, and like I rewrote him like the month that he goes, my coverage is gonna probably, he goes, my cash value's been paying for the policy for the last 7 years. He's had the insurance coverage the whole time, and we looked it up, right? We looked it up, he was down to like his last $120 in there. Seriously.
Double down.
And then he's like, all right, well then let's do a new one. He goes, because I want the index, I want the guarantee. So we did a new one, and it literally, he's had insurance the whole time. He paid for 2.5 years, he stopped paying into it. Now, if he would have paid into the whole time, he'd actually have cash inside. But at least he paid 2.5 years worth of premiums, and he's had life insurance protection for him and his family, his wife and 3 girls, this whole last 10 years, off of 2.5 years worth of premium. So, when someone asks, well, do I have to pay the $500 forever? No. Do you even have to pay it to age 65?
No.
No. I'm just showing you if you do. Someone goes, well, what if I only pay into it for 10 years? Run the illustration and show them. Oh,
Usually get your money back minimum.
Yeah. You have an older client. You had a client, man, I had a client that was 73 years old. So I ran the numbers at 25 grand of cover, or 50 grand, 25 grand of coverage, and her premium was like $130 a month, right? For the minimum coverage you could possibly get. And in 10 years, she had in cash value what she had paid in premiums. So I said, hey, in 10 years, man, you basically have free insurance. Took you 10 years, but in 10 years you have free insurance. Well, look at this in 10 years. Shoot, not only were you covered the whole time, but you got $124,000 saved. Yeah, you paid out $113,000, but you got $124,000 saved, and the whole time you were covered for $500,000. We got to really look at how good this thing really is. And this thing is a freaking machine, and people don't know about this stuff. Attorneys, doctors, nurses, you name it, they don't know how this stuff works. You know who this is really good for? Self-employed. Anyone that has a small business, they need this policy. Anyone who's got a job, they need this policy. Anyone who's got term, they need this policy. Anyone that has another whole life policy, a Prudential and New York Life, those are the big ones. Prudential and New York Life, right? AIG, these whole life companies, these are all policies that could be replaced with the IUL. Question or no? Okay? Good stuff?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back. All right, so let's go to the compensation. So we get paid off what?
$43.90.
$43.90. So shift over this way. Shift over this way really quick. $43.90. So what's this going to pay you? Right? You ever seen Jerry Maguire? Show me the money.
All of it.
So $43.90, right? So first of all, what's your points on this?
Multiply that by 1.
Times 1.25 is your points. So what's the points? Anyone got a calculator? You guys all got iPhones, right? Most of you, the smart ones. 5487. Okay, 5487 is your points. That goes towards promotions and stuff. But we're going to get paid, your percentage of your of commissions is off the target. Okay, so you get more points than you actually get commissionable dollars. So you go off of the annual for commissions, but times 1.25 to get your points. Okay? So let's go back and let's go off the 43.90. Now, what contract level?
80.
Let's say if you're an SMD, you're at 80%. So what's 0.80 of 43.90?
3512.
You're eating organic.
3512? You're eating organic?
Yeah.
So check this out. You just made $3,500 showing a dude how to retire with almost $1 million, right? Tax free, saving $500. So a guy makes $100,000. That's $8,000 a month, right? If he gets paid every 2 weeks, that's $4,000 a paycheck, and he's taking $250 out of $4,000 paycheck. We'll take home a little bit less. Let's say $5,500. So he's getting $5,500 every 2 weeks, or no, every month total, right? Month. So it's so $5,500. So every 2 weeks he's getting how much? Almost $3,000.
Yeah.
And out of the $3,000, he's taking $250 of that every 2 weeks. Pretty realistic, right?
Yep.
Very doable, and you walk away with $3,500 commission. By the way, when does this pay out? If I wrote this tonight and submitted it on iGo tonight, right now, when does this pay out?
Friday.
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 Friday. Friday. If you all right, so here's the deal. If you submit it by Tuesday, all right. So we get a pay
Wednesday
cycle every Tuesday, every Friday. Okay. If you submit it by Tuesday, this will pay out on Friday.
Wednesday morning.
Okay. If you want a pay cycle on Tuesday, you have to submit it by Thursday. So Thursday morning, you submit it Thursday, it will hit on Tuesday's pay cycle.
If Nick writes it.
He says that I get paid quicker than everybody else. And
No, I'm right with you, dude.
You were right. It was Tuesday. You were right. I didn't think it was, but it was.
And you submitted it Thursday,
I did.
right?
You told me.
Yeah.
I even called that.
Last Thursday?
I told him
Right?
that too.
Give or take, it's going to take about a half of a week.
Yeah.
Give or take. If you submit a policy on Monday, it'll hit on Friday.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to look at
Yeah, they're good with that.
normal, right? Monday night, you submit it Monday night, it's paying out on
They
Friday.
always do that, yeah.
You submit it on Friday night, it's going to pay next Friday. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Just so we're clear. Okay, and everything in between. You submit it on Wednesday, it's going to hit on Tuesday. You submit it on Tuesday, it's going to hit on Tuesday. You submit it on Thursday, it's going to maybe hit Tuesday. It depends on how late Thursday, it might hit next Friday. Friday. Monday, Friday. Weekend, Friday. Got it?
Yep.
Yeah, once and for all. Yep.
Okay. So now, what are we talking about? We're talking about team building, right?
Yep.
Yep.
So now, you're doing one of these a week. One of these a week. What's your income? So 4 weeks in a month, 12 times 4. How much?
14 something. 14,048.
14,
48.
48.
048.
So the pool's warming up at that point. You're making some noise at that point.
One
Personally.
a week. One a week, that's a 366 a month
Yeah,
target?
dude. Yeah. It's totally realistic.
At an SMD contract, you're at 14. Well, Nick, I'm not an SMD. Hurry up! Well, show me an associate contract. Really? Do you want me to?
No, show an MD.
Okay, MD contract. Okay, so this is SMD. Okay, let's look at it at an MD. So now, let's cut your pay down. Let's give you 62%. Okay, you're an MD, which by the way, you should do in your 3 months licensed. 3 months licensed, you guys. 3 months licensed, you're an MD. Okay? 3 months licensed, you're an MD. So let's leave that right there. Okay, so what's 4390 times 62? 2721. Okay, times 4.
10,887.
10,887. Okay, not bad. Yeah, can live with that. So you do one a week and you're an MD in the base shop, cracking 10 grand. Matt, 10 G's a month, dude.
Yep.
1 client a week at a 366 target.
Yep.
Or there could be 2 clients a week at 180 target.
Yep. Done it before.
Whatever it is. So you gotta do it and then be consistent with it and get aggressive. Like, dude, all this money's on the table. Okay, so now, let's just say here now, you're an SMD, and now you got 4 of these guys. So you're doing 1 a week, and you're making this a month, and now you got 4 agents, you got 4 MDs doing this.
So 40.
And they're all doing 1 a week too. So let's take this number
18%.
times 4,
It's 4390 or 4370? Or is that
90, sorry,
4390? No, it's better than mine right
times 4,
now. Times 4.
17,560.
17,560. Okay, and then they're each doing 4. So 4 guys doing 4. So times that times 4,
70,240.
70,240.
Quick on the draw. You gotta be quick on the draw, right?
Okay. So 4 guys doing 4 a month. That's 16 policies, right? So you're doing 4. You're doing 4, right? And you're making this with your own pen, SMD. You guys with me?
Yes.
14 grand.
Yep.
You got 4 guys doing 1 a week, just like you. That's another 16 policies. Total of 20 families being helped here, right? Just an override. So now you take your percentage, right? Because if you got 4 MDs,
Yep.
and then no matter if they could be all underneath one leg, it don't matter. It's all 18% to you. It don't matter.
Yep.
No matter any way you slice and dice it, it's all 18. These can even be SMDs doing this.
Yep.
You still be the same amount of money. It's the override, right? The override's the same. So if Reggie does this, it's the same as if Matt does this or Arthur. Okay, so now we're doing times 18%, right? Override?
12,643.
18% of 70 is how much?
12,643 with 20 cents because the IRS checks everything, so 20 cents.
12 grand. Okay, so you got 4 guys, each doing one a week, another 12 grand, plus your 14,000 that you're making. So you made 18% on there, 14 grand in yours, so what's that total? 12, 26,
26 and change.
Oh, fire me up.
26, 691
Fire
times
me up.
12. It's over 300 grand plus, right?
Yeah, 320.
That's you and 4 people right here doing 1 a week.
It's crazy.
You could technically do that part-time. Crazy as that sounds, you could technically be making a couple hundred grand,
Most people have done it.
a couple $100 grand a year
Do you know how many
part-time.
calls I make today?
So think about this. So how big is your vision and how hungry are you to start really getting good at this? I mean, this is, I mean, what happens when this number right here, this 4 people doing 4, is 40 people?
3 million.
You know what I mean?
Just multiply it by 10.
And then now your override is 120 grand.
Not including bonus pools.
Yeah, and then,
Oh.
yeah, and by the way,
Why?
when you put this into a bonus,
It's like at least 4 or 5 grand. Huh?
when you put this into a bonus, right? This is almost a 100,000 point base shop.
What do the bonuses kind of be around? What do you think?
At 100,000, if you're just an SMD,
Yeah.
this bonus is probably 6 grand in a month.
Even with that's the quarterly, right?
No,
That's the
that's
monthly.
the monthly.
No, oh, well, if you do that 3 months in a, if you do that 3 months in a row,
That's what I'm saying,
then you
yeah.
get another 16 grand on top of that. That's about 6 grand. And then if you're EMD, so your base is doing 100, and if you're EMD, that means you have SMD, you have SMDs now producing their own base shop stuff, and then you're adding another maybe 10 grand in bonus there on that bonus. So you're at about 16 grand in bonus. About 16 grand in bonus, another 12, another 26 grand, you're about 40, 50 grand. Woo!
Yes.
How good are you at selling that illustration? Building a policy, right? So we talked about it. I want you to start thinking bigger. Everyone makes money. Everyone needs to save it. Everyone is a potential client. It's just don't screw it up saying stupid stuff. Right? Or if you're saying stupid stuff, or if you're saying good stuff to stupid people, it's the same thing.
Boom. That's it. And then boom.
It's on my Instagram story.
I'm not gonna put it down.
But think about that. We're looking for people looking for us. Whether you're recruiting someone, we're looking for someone that wants to get aggressive. You show the right person that how they can go make this kind of money. Go make 120 grand in an override with 40 person team. you know? Or you show the right person that's already making money and already saving the right vehicle and show them what the policy can do. We're looking for people looking for us. There's people that wanna save and invest tax-free. There's people that wanna go make 100 grand a year or 100 grand a month. People that wanna do that. Stop beating yourself up with people that you have to try to convince. Don't sound so freaking desperate. Move on, talk to different people. If you're talking to people and they're all saying no, then you're talking to the wrong people. Talk to more people. Start to find it, right? We had this conversation, I was having this conversation with Cynthia. I go, you gotta be able to, so as a team builder, you're looking for someone right now. I want you guys to be a hawk. I want you to have your recruiting hat on, and I want you to start thinking about right now, right now, I want you to start thinking about who could come into my business right now and make an immediate impact. Who could come in right now into my business and make an immediate impact. Guess what? I've been really good at finding those people throughout my career. I've been really good. Right when I need them the most, boom, another one pops up. Every single time. Right? I was having a conversation with Ed Milet in the pool a couple years back in Hawaii, and he goes, you gotta get a young stud. You gotta get some young studs. He goes, I know Rich has been talking about these older and married, homeowner, all this stuff. He goes, you need some young guys. Literally 3 weeks later, this guy's coming in my office, he gets licensed, and the first month license is 72,000 personal points. Shows him makes 11 grand his first month license, makes 14 grand the next month, has a 30 grand month, makes his first 100 grand in his first 10 months of business. Hits first 10 months, hits S&B in 8 months. Off to the races.
Just getting started.
Did that with Elijah, did that with Fareed, did that with, I mean, a lot of the leaders. Think about that. Think about that. Can you bring someone in and right, can you explode your business with the next new person you bring in? I'm looking for someone you're gonna babysit and not, I mean, a lot of work and very little outcome. Oh man, if I could just convince them, I just wanna get them coded. Okay, cool, yeah. A part of the business is recruiting people, throwing shit up against the wall and seeing what sticks. Part of the business is that. But let's just be real. That's kind of hit or miss. Have some intention. Know who you're looking for. Hey, who's the most ambitious person that you know? Who's the most hungriest person that I really know? And guess what? If you can't recruit them, get them in front of someone that can. Right? If you think, if it's the person that if they asked you, well, how good are you doing? And you're not confident, then you know you need to get them in front of somebody else. But get them in front of me. Get them in front of me. You want to recruit a high identity person? And then shoot, even if they're a higher identity than me, then we'll get them in front of somebody else bigger than me. But I'm pretty confident that whatever they're doing, they could be doing a lot bigger. And you know, people go, oh, they're already making good money. Guess what? Good people that make good money want to make more good money. Right? Right? We talk about it, right? As good as it is right now, it could be 10 times better.
Yep.
Right? That's how I got recruited. I wasn't looking, but when the right opportunity presented itself, I'm like, shoot, I can turn my annual income into my monthly income. Why not? You're gonna work hard anyways. Why not work hard at something that's gonna have future benefit? I know my efforts right now, that I'm putting in right now, these seeds are being planted and it's gonna reap a harvest down the road for, I don't have to do anything. Other people will be, you know, harvesting the seeds that I planted right now, down the road. Right, you're building something for the future. Right? But think about that, have some intention, have a clear outcome on what you're looking for. Who are you looking for? Looking for someone in sales, looking for someone who's maybe in nursing field, right? A Filipino nurse. A freaking Filipino nurse. Got the market, they're aggressive, they're competitive, they like money, they like helping people.
I'm working on 2 right now.
They're like, right? Hey, you guys gotta understand something. Yeah, hey, I was a jack of all trades, right? I did ADT, I did Victoria's Secret, I was a restaurant cook, I worked construction, I did all this stuff. But think about this, when I was at ADT, what was I doing? Sales, go across the kitchen table, I got paid commission, I was building a team, I was getting overrides. this, I'm like, let's go. So whoever, I mean, the person that recruited me, right, well, Guillermo, right, is benefiting. But it's like, you start thinking about that and go, look, who could, right? You think that I made an immediate impact in a Guillermo's business?
Yep.
Yeah, we were almost 20% of his SCDC promotion. Just our leg. Our team was 20%. A fifth of all the production in his whole hierarchy came from us. A fifth of it. He's got a lot of SMDs and a lot of leaders, you guys, and we did a fifth of the work. That's a big deal. It's a big deal. Should be more, but it's still a big deal. It's still a big deal when he's like 30 SMDs wide and we did, 20% of it, just us. Right? Well, who can make an immediate impact in your business? Who can you bring in that can explode you up to SMD right now? Think about that. You know what it does when you bring in a new recruit too? Keeps you on your toes. Because now you can't just talk the game. Right? Hey, this is great. They come in, yeah, you gotta do pregame, you gotta be doing it. It's not hard. This business is not hard. Stop making it look so hard. Don't make it look hard. Just have fun, go with the flow, but stay diligent with your efforts, stay diligent with your stuff. Know what you're looking for, you're more likely to find it. Right? Anytime you have an outcome for something, usually something's gonna pop, right? If you don't know where you're going, you're never gonna get there. Right? You ever heard that saying?
Yep.
You don't know where you're going, you're never gonna get there. You know where you're going, you know what you're looking for, you're gonna find it. Right? Looking for sales background, military background, right? Education, teachers, right? Ambitious, hungry, a little bit dissatisfied maybe. If there's not a lot of dissatisfaction, they better make up with it with a lot of ambition. Right? Just think about it. If there's no dissatisfaction and they're comfortable, how hard is it to recruit them? Kind of hard, right?
Yep.
So I was kind of in the middle. I wasn't super dissatisfied, but I was pretty ambitious. My ambition made up for the lack of, I didn't have a lot of dissatisfaction. I was dissatisfied, but I wasn't like, this sucks. But I saw the bigger picture, right? So you gotta start thinking about this stuff. Get aggressive, man. We double and triple in size in the next 90 days, you guys.
Yes.
We do this thing right. The question is how many of those people are gonna be on your team again?
All of them.
All of them? All of them? Alright. Alright. Cause you guys know I'm gonna shop like this, pay you 20, 30 grand a month. 4 people doing 4, so what, and then you doing 4, it's what, almost 30 grand a month. And then if some aren't doing 4, and some are doing 1, and some are doing more, and it equals. About 20 sales in a month is gonna pay you about 25, 30 grand a month. Some are do 13 in a week.
Overachievers.
Overachievers, yeah. So you're looking for, someone who can come in and overachieve. Hey, it's 90-10 rule, man. It's 90-10 rule.
90%.
You got 90% doing only 10% of the work. You got the 10% doing the 90%.
Take it all.
Right? Start looking for the 10%ers. And along the way, you'll find the 90%ers, and hey, every app counts, you guys. I mean, do your part.
Yep.
You're part of the team. You add value to the team.
Yes.
You have value to our environment.
Just take that.
But now, the more people we get, the more easier it is for you to start attracting people, the more belief, more knowledge, more confidence. You believe that you deserve to have a big team too. We should be running 20, 30, 40 people through here. Well, all these chairs are stacked. Stare at that for a minute and go, shit. Right? Turn around right now and say, shit.
Shit.
Like those should all, right? Think about it. Those should all be filled up with your teammates. Those should be filled up with your teammates. So that's, so just look at it and go, see that stack of chairs right there? That's gonna be my team's gonna fill up all those chairs by the end of March, let's say. Next month and a half, I'm gonna have all those chairs filled up with people on my team. Right? Okay. So Saturday BPM, you're gonna report we're gonna have the competition come up, and you're gonna report, you're gonna say where you're at with against your competition. on Saturday?
I don't have anybody.
Don't have anyone to compete with?
I doubt, no.
He wasn't
He
here.
wasn't here.
I wasn't
wasn't
here,
here.
so that's.
Okay, and you're at 2 and 35,000?
Yeah, so
Ah.
Okay.
I'd start next
No,
month.
it's not.
I'm down, yeah.
I'm like, I wish I was licensed, I'll compete with you.
Fair game.
So there we go, once you get licensed, then so.
I'm in minute to win it, I'm done.
Alright, let's go. Alright, so cool. You guys learned something from this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Basic stuff, but you know, I mean, guys, like I said, I keep it simple because that's the only way you're gonna multiply. Imagine if I was super complicated and you're like, crap, I can't do that. No, I got every single one of you guys going, that's pretty simple. Great, now if all of you guys do it, think of how big we would get. Yes,
I like what you said earlier when you were showing the numbers,
yeah,
where basically you gave them like the good stuff, and he said, but not everybody qualifies.
take away.
Yeah, so you say you did the takeaway, so now it's like, they're kind of like, wait, you're saying I'm not good enough to.
Yeah, the right person wants to, yeah, I mean, you know, it's, you know, don't give it away, take it away.
Yeah.
So build up, benefit, and then go, hey, we gotta see if you get qualified. Then they're going, well, wait, yeah, get me qualified. What do I gotta do? Right? Okay. Cool deal. Any other questions on the illustration, compensation, anything as of right now? We're just about halfway through the month, you guys. We're halfway through. Let's shock the hierarchy. Let's shock the team. Let's shock the team going into March. March is Momentum Monday. So this Monday is Momentum Monday for January's numbers, right? Yeah, January's numbers. The next Momentum Monday is based on what we do this month. With me?
Yeah.
So we're nowhere where we're supposed to be right now. Halfway through, we're nowhere where we're supposed to be. The next 2 weeks, let's max out. Let's do something you've never done before. Gold team, do something you've never done before. You've never done 3 and 10. Freaking do 3 and 10 and watch what it does to your confidence. Watch what it does to your belief. Watch what it does, right? You feel like you know what the, you know, like you got the juice. And then if you can do it once, you can do it again. Man, you're like right around the corner from a breakthrough in your whole career in WFG. By just giving it all you got the next 2 weeks. Giving it all you got the next 2 weeks. Exhausted. Come home tired. Right? Oh, I worked till 6. Great. You got from 6 to 10 p.m. What are you going to go do? Catch up on your show? At home? You're going to go feed your dog? I mean, you're going to go cook dinner? Man, shoot, eat later. Let's go make some money, and then we'll go celebrate. We'll go, you accomplish something. And then what it does to your mindset, you're like, hey, I'm not a 0-0 person. I'm not a person that barely does anything. I'm a doer. I'm someone that does something big. And if I can do it once, I can do it again. And if I build some strong months in a row, then momentum starts to happen. And you start making money. You start getting good. And then now you start talking to more people. And now people say, hey, how are you doing? You're like, unbelievable. Yes, you got to fake it till you make it a little bit. Don't overextend yourself. Don't buy expensive stuff when you don't have money. Not like that. But your confidence should be about where you're going, not necessarily where you're at.
Yeah.
I wasn't making crap, and I was talking about where I want to make 6 figures my first year. Well, yeah, you got to meet this. You got to meet my broker. Got to meet my broker. Got to meet my broker. Distractions, right? Distractions. The competition that we're in and where you're going. The vision, the dream selling, right? Okay. We go to Shamrocks afterwards, right? Food,
Yeah.
beers, or if you're on a budget, ice water with lemon, don't matter, whatever, right? But we loosen the tie, the ladies let their hair down, whatever the case may be. We get comfortable, we bond, we build. Let's make this last 2 weeks something special. On Saturday, I have a story for you guys of some historic things that we've done. We've done some historic things in a short period of time, and we can do it again. Right? The base shop,
We need to do it.
right? We have 3 recruits in the base. We got Arthur's 3 recruits. That's it. That's it right now.
Not yet.
It's gonna change tomorrow.
We got 30. We got 30 to hit. Right? We did 100 in a February month. I'll just tell you briefly. In a February month, in 16 days, from the 12th, wait, what is today? 13th?
13.
It was the 12th, and we were at 49 recruits in the base shop. By the 12th, we're at 49 recruits. I was the number one base shop in the company. Well, actually, on the 12th, we were number 2. Number 1 had 99, and we were at 49. And then my let's like, Lancaster, where are you at? 49. Joe Smo, where you at? 99. We did a dinner with Ed together. Me and this dude were competing. Top 2 base shops in the whole company. Oh, were you in the business then? No, 2007, right? No. We were at 49. My best friend and my competitor was at 99. I'm like, dude, I'm getting smoked by 50 recruits halfway through the month. In 16 days, in the last 16 days of the month, we did 116 recruits. We finished with 165 recruits that month in the base shop. 165.
These people, right? Well, not even, no.
We had
Less than
more.
that, 'cause
We
you
had
have
more
a-
than this.
Absolutely.
We had more than this. But we went on we went on a run. You know what people were doing? Everyone was running for their 10 and 10 to hit senior associate at the time. It's like, I mean, if I get 10 recruits and write 10 sales, I jump up.
That was
Back
the
then it was
first time.
Back then it was 25% up to 45.
Mhm.
Well, shoot, now you go from 30 to 55. You guys know, if you guys go and hit 10 recruits and 10 recruits and 10 apps, that you'll jump from whatever contract you're at up to 5%. Matter of fact, if you do that, don't you think you're gonna have momentum that the following month you'll hit MD anyway?
Yep.
Just with sheer momentum?
Licenses and shit.
So, you know what we did, was we literally said, hey, 10 and 10, boom, you go to senior associate. And I just had about 10 people that went and did it. And we did in 12, and in 16 days, we recruited 116 people. At 10 people, go get 10 recruits.
That's the record.
Get 100 recruits. I don't know if anyone's done more than 165.
That's what I'm saying. That's crazy.
No, G did,
Did
the
200.
following month, the following month, so, no, seriously,
Because of
seriously,
Champions Pass.
seriously, we did 165,
They launched-
we did 165, the next month, what was it, 212 or something like
Yes,
that?
2 something.
Like 212.
Yeah.
His base shop had more people. So he saw we did 165 and he launched this big old campaign to get, you know, to beat us
Artificial.
or whatever, and he did 212 the next month.
Yep.
Set a whole new bar. But still, we did 165, the next month we backed it up, we did another
132, I think it was.
132 the next month.
Damn.
So we did 165, and it wasn't a fluke, we did 132 the next month after that.
Oh, that's what people.
We approved over 50 recruits in one night in G's
Yeah.
Base Shop.
Yeah.
Just.
Like, we had to click the button.
So guys, we're at, what, 15 days left in the month?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's do something historic.
I'm down.
Yes.
Let's do something big.
Yeah.
Yes.
Make a name for yourself.
Why not? Why not? What do you have to lose?
Yeah.
Nothing. What do you have to gain?
Everything.
Everything.
Everything. All right, guys, let's max out, okay? Thank you.